Welcome to Typecasting, where we're typing our favorite fictional characters on the Enneagram and taking on pop culture by the numbers.
For one night and one night only, Donna and the Dynamos. I thought about doing
that is so fun.
Murjanatu and the Typecasters, but it didn't. There's only two of us.
Too.
I feel like you need the trio.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense
to really pull it off.
Oh my gosh. I wish right now I almost said that would be so fun. And I was like, but then I think people would get excited that Ian and Lena are back. And they're not. So it's just us. Well, oh my gosh. I am so excited about this week. And that is your host, Lucas Graydon, that would easily have all the bachelors swimming at his feet during Lay All Your Love on Me.
Oh my gosh. I wish. I have been falling down like a behind the scenes rabbit hole with this movie. And did you know that that was one of the coldest days of the entire film shoot was the day? And Amanda Seyfried has talked about how freezing it was because she just had to like be in the water all day. And it was so cold.
That is so mean.
Yeah. Really unfortunate.
Why did they do that? Like, I feel like they could have just done it a different day. The filming world is like a mystery to me, but I'm like, just reschedule. Like, you had to be on the island for a while. I mean, I've seen all of the TikToks about how this was literally just like a giant party and like everyone was drunk 100% of the time. And then like on the rewatch, when I was researching for this, I was like, yes, it is.
I was trying to figure out how much of it was also like ADR where they like dubbed in afterward, because I felt like there were definitely some moments where I was like, oh, they definitely had to like go back and take that again. But I love it. You can tell the cast
that is so funny.
Was just having the time of their lives. And let me introduce your co-host, Murjanatu Matua, who is a super trooper. If I was up on stage, I would just want to look into the crowd and see you.
That is true. Thank you. I've just been high on life lately, and I'm like, yes, thank you for the compliment. Like, I don't even say thank you for the compliment anymore. I'm just like, yeah, you are so correct. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. If you haven't guessed it, this week is Mamma Mia.
Here we go again.
And honestly, Mamma Mia, here we go again. Also, because I just think we got a lot of context for the characters we're going to be talking about today. And Mamma Mia, here we go again. And I will be honest, straight up with you, Lucas, I watched Mamma Mia for this. I did not watch Mamma Mia, here we go again. I watched compilations. So we'll see if I misremember. And as you know, we're not experts.
No, I'm happy to hear you say that, because as I was doing research, I realized I was like, actually, especially for like the characters that we picked to type, I was like, they get most of their character work in the sequel, actually. Oh,
exactly.
I think this is an interesting, for all of our Mamma Mia fans out there, I think this is a divisive like thing in the fandom. What are your thoughts on the sequel?
I loved the sequel.
Me too.
I think so too. When I watched it the first time, I think I watched it by myself in a movie theater in Arkansas, and I was like, okay, I feel confused. It was not the original. I watched it again with some gal pals and just screamed and laughed and had a good time. And I was like, this is what this movie is for. It's like just an extension of the chick flick. I do feel like it's like supposed to be more quality, so I think that's why it's a little confusing. Like the actual, you know what I mean? Because just like it's newer.
The film looks,
but I love it.
Yes.
Yes. What about you? What's your take?
Agreed. I love it. I have mixed feelings because I am somebody who has to take things very seriously. Like, you know this, I have an actual calendar, like with the dates that like every episode of every Marvel TV show took place on in the fictional continuity. Like, I take everything so seriously. I need it all to match up. So when they totally rewrite everything that we learn in Honey Honey for this movie, it took me a second to like be okay with it. But as soon as you just like get over that and realize like that's what making the movie was for, that's what watching the movie is for, is just to have fun and like enjoy the music and have fun with the characters. Like, I loved it. I also, this is a recurring theme for me. This is one of the movies that I almost got in trouble for crying too hard at. Like, my friends, the first time I watched this, with my friends in the theater, I started sobbing at My Love, My Life, and I did not stop crying through the whole credits. Like, the movie keeps going. They have the whole like party during the credits in the sequel, and just seeing Meryl Streep like in like the credits and stuff was making me sob because I was like, no, Donna. So my friends were like, Lucas, shut up. The sad part is over. I could not get over it the first time I watched it. It affected me very deeply. So that's like my main memory of the film, of the sequel.
That is tricky. I think so too. I mean, it's like, I'm so excited. Let's just dive in. Let's just dive in.
Yes.
Our first character is none other than the Donna of the Dynamos herself, Donna Sheridan. Now, I have a curious question. I saw that you like wrote Donna Sheridan down. Do they mention her last name? I was like even trying to think the whole time because I was like watching the movie and I don't even think they say Sophie's last name because I don't know if that's part of it. How did you find her last name?
I'm going to Google this right now because Donna Sheridan is definitely just like off the top of my head. I don't know where. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know where. I just did a real quick Google. I don't know if this is in the first movie at all, but in the sequel, when she graduates, I do know because I just rewatched the scene where she gives the speech and the headmistress like introduces her as Donna Sheridan. So I do know it from that. Are you the person who wrote the last names of Rosie and Tanya in the script? Because if I did that, I do not remember it. And I definitely don't think we know their last names.
It was me, and I had to do a lot of searching for their last names.
These are not last name characters, you know? It's...
No. And it's funny because we'll get to Tanya in a little bit, but like Tanya has like a hyphenated last name because she's been like married many times and it's like funny. And I'm like, I don't know where, like, probably like want to know who, when, where,
that is a
why.
joke from like the one person who just had to write the credits. And they were like, I'm going to write this little joke just for me and nobody else about Tanya's last name because.
Exactly.
I love it. Yes.
No. And but I did have to do some digging for those because I was like, I don't think they have last names, but they do. So anyway, Donna, I'm going to introduce her as a person. Donna it's interesting because when I was growing up, I always thought Sophie was the protagonist. Sophie's getting married and she is trying to figure out who her father is. Her mother, played by Meryl Streep, is also running this inn and raising her daughter, and she's getting married at the young, ripe age of 21. And she is a little bit freaking out and then finds out her daughter invited all of her lovers, her ex-lovers from that time period to the wedding to figure out which one is her father. One of the things I love about this musical is it's a jukebox musical, which means it is like a bunch of songs that were already written by like either like a playlist, usually it's like a band, and they take them and they like put them into the story. I think whoever wrote Mamma Mia were the only people who would have heard these songs and come up with the storyline. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you gave like a lot of people like Taylor Swift's discography, they would probably come up with like a similar timeline, like a similar like story.
Yes.
And I think the same thing, maybe even for the Beatles, like across the universe, like you could probably figure out something like that. Like Mamma Mia, I'm like, I listened to Abba. Like I would have never put the storyline together.
No, because my mom, like back before radio, I guess, not before radio, but you know, growing up.
I was like, how old is your mom?
Growing up, like in the car, instead of listening to the radio, a lot of the times we would listen to CDs in the CD player. And so it was a lot of the same things. It was Barry Manilow, Bon Jovi, and an Abba, like greatest hits. Those were like the 3 albums that my mom always had in her car growing up. And so, or when I was growing up, I should say. And so I knew all of the ABBA songs before I ever saw the musical Mamma Mia. And I had no idea. I was like, how do these connect? And then even I tried to do with Mamma Mia what I did with Hamilton, which is just listen through the soundtrack and like to get some character stuff, to get some notes.
Yeah, get caught up.
And I realized these songs really have nothing to do with the story. Like the characters only exist in between the songs. And then they're like, okay, now we're going to perform for a second. And then we're going to come back to the plot.
Literally, Glee makes more sense. Like, and Glee is very crazy. This makes no sense to me. I love it.
I love
like,
it.
I'm here for it. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world. I also think, like, I think we've talked about on air, like, I'm obsessed with Greece. I went to Greece, like, in college, studied abroad there. I love it. I think between Sisters on the Traveling Plans and this film right here was my obsession. Like, that, there it is. A lot of people, it's Percy Jackson. Good for you. You were more educated than I. Mine is Mamma Mia. And I'm so excited to talk about Donna's number because she's iconic. She's our I think now that, like I was saying, now I watch as an adult, she's the protagonist. She's also Meryl Streep. So, like, who cares? Now she becomes the protagonist because she's in it. I'm so curious what you think her number is.
Okay. You know me, I tend to have every single number on the board. I do have a couple options, but I have one number that just, as I kept going through it, I kept coming back to this number. And so I'm just going to lay my case out for that. Maybe if you think something differently and it overlaps with something else, I thought we can get into that later. I'm just going to present my quick little case for the type 7, the enthusiast. And I don't think this is like, as I was watching it, I was like, I don't think so. Especially in Mamma Mia 1. She is like at a place where she's really worn down by life, really exhausted, really struggling, feeling like financially the business isn't doing very well. And she wants a little more tourism, traffic and things like that. But then I was just thinking about the whole conceit of the musical, like where it all began, is that Donna went on this gallivanting trip around Europe and through Greece, like after she graduated, and she met all of these new people. She had all these fun experiences. And then she settled down on this island where she had just met this guy. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to stay in Greece and I'm going to raise my daughter. And now I'm going to run this inn that I just found. And like,
yep.
As I mentioned earlier, like, as I got into the character stuff in Mamma Mia 2, especially, I was like, this Donna, like, I think Lily James's Donna is such a 7, like, in the best ways. And then we see the characters in the first Mamma Mia, especially as they're reuniting with Donna. They're like, hey, what happened? Like, you were always the joyful one. You were the bubbly one. You were the life of the party. Like, she is the lead singer of Donna and the Dynamos. Like, I love seeing these other characters who reminisce about how they knew Donna when she was younger and how they see her like kind of trodden down by life at first. And she reignites that joy and she rediscovers that joy, I think, at the end once she reconnects with Sam and everything. But yeah, so the 7 kind of kept nudging me in the back of the mind, even as I tried to look at some other ones.
We haven't agreed in so long. I feel so good. She is a 7. She's such a 7. I know. I love it. And I think even we see the reminiscence of her being a 7 in the first movie, but the second movie like solidifies her child, like who she is. And I think like, I love you guys so much, 7s. I think like not knowing who the father of your child is because you were gallivanting and having such a good time. And like, you know, let's just like see the world and all these and falling in love with these men quickly and like, and whirlwind affairs. Like the thing that I do love is like, they don't like frame her. They do not slut shame her at all.
No.
They're just like, this is who she this is what happened. And she did have love in her heart and like a lot of love for each one of these men. And like, that's why it's a beautiful story. Cause it could be like, like, I don't know, like I've never saw those guys, but like all those men had an impact on her life. And I love that. So I love that. And so I do think that's like such a 7 tendency, just like fall in love and be like in this whirlwind and of romance. And then also like, I think she does run away from her problems. Like she does kind of like flee them. And like, that's kind of the whole story. Like she's in like a million different places in the second movie. And I just think the other thing, like we usually talk about levels of health, but we talk about also like where people run to in their numbers. But I thought like one of the things we don't talk about very often, like since the first season, is that like each number is in different levels of health. So like you might be a 2 and be like, I look a lot different than my friend who also says they're a 2. What's up with that? And it's like, well, depending on the time of your life that you're in, like those might come out in many different ways. And so I kind of just like took a little stab at the Enneagram Institute, our favorite place to be. And I just looked at like the unhealthy level. And I think honestly, the point of the first movie, Mamma Mia, is that she is in a very unhealthy state. Like her daughter, who she's poured everything into, is leaving and she's not super thrilled about like why or how. And so I think like this just on level 8, so it's a level of like 1 to 9, you know, how healthy you are. I think like she might be in a pretty like frustrated place. Her business is not doing well. Her daughter's leaving. Like 3 of her ex-lovers are in the same place. It says like, you're in a flight from self, acting out impulses rather than dealing with anxieties or frustrations. You go out of control into erratic mood swings or compulsive actions. And if the song Mamma Mia is like not that happening to her,
yes.
and like just like her like going crazy and like and leaving things, making fleeting decisions, and like not falling in love or not like pursuing the love that she actually deserves at the end, because she's just kind of acting on impulses. And then also she does get married to a guy she hasn't seen in like 21 years.
Yeah, in like 30
at
minutes.
The drop of a hat.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's very Seven to me. And I think that she's kind of in the unhealthy stage. But then, like, in the first movie, when we see her kind of like how that steady decrease is just kind of like, they're like highly responsive, excitable, enthusiastic, and they like want, they crave sensation and experience. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, that is so Donna. So I think we're in agreement. And I think we finally have a 7 for like the first time in a minute.
Well, that's the thing. I have been, and this was kind of the thing, I feel like I have been itching, I don't know why, for a 7 for a couple weeks now. And this was like, am I just trying to like, the 7 just keeps calling to me. I was like, am I seeing something that's not there? But I love it. And this was the quote actually from Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again.
Yeah.
That was like, who else could have said this? She says, as she's like getting ready to leave, she's like, I'm not going home. And then she's talking to Rosie and Tanya, and she says,
where will you go?
Anywhere. Everywhere. Oh, life is short. The world is wide. I want to make some memories.
Absolutely.
Oh.
That's such a good quote.
Thank you. Right? That really cemented it for me. Also, something I thought was really interesting is that the Enneagram Institute calls the 7 with an 8 wing the realist. And I think that like, that was very Donna to me. Like, I think she has that little like fight and fire. So and when she was so kind of caught up in the stresses of running the business, to me, that was kind of like the quote unquote realist. You look like you might disagree.
We don't agree.
Oh.
Yeah. I think she has a strong wing 6.
Interesting.
I think like her wings, I mean, and I hate this, I'm like, 6s are loyal. I mean, but she has like, they are. And like, she's had the same friends since boarding school that are the ones that are coming to her side at the wedding. And like, you see how beautiful and nurtured that those relationships are. And I think even when they have like breaks, she's so loyal to them and knows them, and they are to her, and we'll get there in a second. But then also like we just see her like freaking out like a lot.
No, actually, that's a good point.
I thought she was a phobic 6.
She has that little like back and forth, with Tanya and Rosie, that I could see kind of like she enjoys that. Like I said, she enjoys kind of like ribbing with them and kind of teasing them and picking on them in a way that I think a lot of 8s who feel comfortable with their friends do. But actually, I think that's a better read on even like the money, and just thinking like, yes, I have all this responsibility. I don't know where it's all going to go. Also, just like not even to the wing 6. I will give you the wing 6. I love it. I'm sold. But also with the 7 and the idea of like the restlessness of like, she's been in this. Yes, I love it. 7 wing 6.
I love it. And I think she's such a good representation of our like 7s. You know what I mean? Like she's great. She's so fun. She's like, and I have some really good ones for 7s where I think are going to be really excited to be represented by Donna.
I hope so. I am interested because the little comment you made about some of her friends that we're going to be discussing makes me think we might disagree. How about we go ahead and jump into the next character?
Okay, tell me about her. Who are you talking about?
Rosie. Apparently her last name is Mulligan. She's just Auntie Rosie to me, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh. AKA Molly Weezy.
She's just Auntie Rosie to me. That is so funny to me that you just said that.
I'm sorry. I was watching the movie and that's what Sophie calls her when they first get there.
I know, but it's still funny that you're like, me and Sophie both call her that.
Me as well. Yes. AKA Molly Weasley, AKA Julie Walters. I love, like,
that is crazy.
There are 2 sides. She contains multitudes, like the range. We love to see it.
I know.
But
also,
Rosie
like, drop us a comment if you want us to do Harry Potter. Like, I know you do, so just like let us know so we can have it on the record. Let us know
in the comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Rosie is just a little firecracker. She's actually like kind of a world-renowned chef. She has a cookbook that Stavros on the boat once signed, and she also I love her and Tanya's dynamic. the way I think similar to Donna, but especially like Rosie's always kind of picking on Tanya. She calls her mother as they're like on the boat coming to the island. And then Tanya says, we're the same age. And Rosie says, parts of us are. Like Rosie is just...
That's a good line. Yeah.
It's so like she has just got this fire to her. Tanya wants to set her up. She wants Rosie to like find love. And Rosie says, no, I'm a lone wolf. Like I'm out here doing my own thing. I'm living my own life.
So any men at this wedding? Gorgeous Greeks of independent means.
Here we go! Husband number 4!
Not for me, for her. For her now that her book is a bestseller and she's got the whole world stuffing, what, mushrooms, various vegetables. It's time to find Mr. Right.
Oh, please! Boring! Great couple of role models you two are for Sophie. The serial bride and the little hermit over here. That's me! I'm a lone wolf!
And then we do see at the end, I love how just bold and confident and courageous she is. That at the end of the movie, she and Bill exchange a glance and she says, hey, take a chance on me. Like, I'm interested. I'm going to let you know. She chases him around. Comedic gold as well. I mean, just such a great scene. But she and Bill are then have in their relationship come Mamma Mia 2 when for plot reasons they needed to sing Angel Eyes. And so there's like that weird little, they have that little split for like two minutes and then they make up again. They're a cute couple, but I also love like Rosie's ability to just be herself, be confident, be independent. I'm very interested to see what you think her type is.
Wow, I know. I feel like that is an interesting read on the movie. Like all the things you said are absolutely true. I just kind of felt as though she chose to take a back seat in a lot of the things that were happening. And she was like, and so I'm like rethinking everything because I actually like your read a lot better. And like, I think that makes a lot of sense. In my mind, I was like, she lets her friends be the main characters and her jokes are to keep them humble. And like, she likes to be kind of in the background. And like, that's why she doesn't speak to Bill. Like, you know, she takes a second, but then she does like take Bill by the reins. I think that's like completely right after they share a glance. In my mind, I just painted that differently. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, Rosie. I was not giving you credit. And so I'm going to change my mind a little bit. I think I hear what you're saying. I do also think, though, I'm going to change what I originally was just like, oh, she's 6, loyal, tried and true. Like she kind of like, she's like a little nervous to play and be in the storyline. But I'm also like, you know what you said was so right. I almost want you to go first because now I'm like, maybe she's like a 1. Like there's the right way to do things. And then she like all of a sudden like goes away from it, but now I'm like, am I just like, yeah, your face is showing me it all. Lucas is like, I don't know, but I want to hear your number. Usually we don't go out of order, but I want to hear what you have to say because, like I said, I like your read a lot better.
Wow. Okay. Yes. So I love Rosie. I'll be honest. I was also getting 7 vibes from Rosie. Like the way that she is like just out traversing the world on her own, like having a good time, not looking for anything to tie her down. Like I think she's afraid of like too much commitment. And that's like, as soon as they get to the island and Tanya's like, we need to find somebody for her. She is like, no, thank you. I'm not looking to be tied down. But then again, she falls in love at the drop of a hat at the end of the movie. Everyone kind of does, to be fair. But those were some of the similar traits I think that I saw in Rosie that, and I think also maybe I'll put out on the table that maybe she has that wing 8 because even more so than Donna, she is the one who likes to like rib and tease and like push back and like have fun with her friends in that way, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely think that she probably has that wing 8 if she is a 7. I was thinking, like I said, I was saying 6. So I'm like, oh, I have a little bit more of an art. I just like, I feel like I'm getting almost embarrassed because I'm like, did I not do Rosie justice? Like, to who her character is? Because I'm like, she's just kind of a sideline character. And I'm just so enchanted by Tanya. And I'm like, you know what? I'm wrong. So thank you. I think she's a 7.6. I kind of just want you to win this one. And I feel like, hi, Rosie. I'm Murjanatu. Let's be friends. I want to get to know you better.
I told you, she and I are close. I call call her Auntie Rosie. I told you at the
Is so
beginning.
true.
She and I had that special bond.
I know. This is so I'm okay with that. And I love that. And again, I feel silly.
Wow.
Okay, Lucas. Well, since that one was easy peasy, let's just go on to our next character, shall we?
I cannot wait.
Oh my gosh.
Little boys who play with fire get their fingers burned.
Next, we're talking about Tanya, who I have a strong feeling does not like to go by Auntie Tanya. Is that true?
I think that's a good question. I know Sophie does call her Auntie Tanya in that one scene, but you're right. She does not want to be reminded that she is an aunt.
She is a minute over 21.
Yes. And no more.
No more. So next we're talking about Tanya. Tanya has a double last name, which I love. Cheeseman Lee. I don't think we hear that in the movie. It's in the credits. And
Seems
she
fake to me.
is, yeah, I know. And she's kind of just like, I'm obsessed with her. I kind of feel as though Christine Baranski,
Baranski, I think, but yes.
Baranski, like, kind of plays the same person every time. Like, I wonder what she's actually like as a person. I do too. I love the character she plays.
Oh.
She is sassy. She is here for it. She's like, yes, I've had plastic surgery. Yes, I look fantastic. Yes, I'm a millionaire. Yes, I am here for this. Like, what else do you want from me, darling? And I think it's funny because she is such a main character in my mind that it's like funny that she's technically a side character in this one.
It's so funny that you say that because my first thought, like 5 minutes ago when we started talking about Tanya, I was like, she is a main character in a different movie. Like, she is in her own movie. She is in her own world. Like, she's having the time of her life. I love her. You are totally right about Christine Baranski. I feel like adding her to anything just makes the movie so much better. I'm thinking specifically of the live action Grinch. Like, who is Jim Carrey? I don't know. That movie belongs to Christine Baranski. Like,
absolutely.
I love her so much.
That's what put her on the map for me. I don't know.
Yes.
She's great. I think she's like kind of coming after Mariah Carey for Queen of Christmas as well.
Well, maybe with her new Christmas in the Square movie.
I was going to say Christmas on Main Street. You're right. It's Christmas in the Square. We watched that together. That was rough.
Yes.
We watched it together, like texting. Oh my gosh. I love her. But I mean, like, still, she makes it infinitely better. If it was anyone else, I wouldn't have stood for it. But she's killing it. Oh my gosh. What do you think her Enneagram is? I think I know. I feel like there's no other way to read this one.
Okay, I think we're on the same page. Before I even say the number, I'm just gonna read the brief headline that the Enneagram Institute has for this number.
Okay.
Success-oriented, pragmatic type, adaptive, excelling, driven, and image-conscious. And
hey
if that
there,
sounds like Tanya,
hey there, Cheever. What's it
3.
like in Greece tonight? Because you're Tanya. And we're going to typecast you. Yeah,
song.
Absolutely. It was Hey There Delilah. So obviously I'm a bad singer. That is hilarious. Okay. Tell me more when we got you there.
Yes. I don't know that I can even pick one thing about her. I think that she just radiates that energy. For me, actually, I was doing some reading about the difference between the 7 and the 3. I was reading that article on the Enneagram Institute website for Donna, for Rosie. I was kind of on the edge for a couple characters about okay, what are those key differences? And it was really interesting to read the comparisons. But what the Enneagram Institute kept going back to for the type 3 that made it distinctive was the 3's sense of confidence and sense of self. The 3 is so self-assured, they know what they're here to do and they're going to do it. She sets a goal and her goal is money and wealth and comfort and luxury. And if it takes her 3 husbands, it takes her 3 husbands and she will not blink an eye. I think she is just out here living her best life. She has that ambition and that drive and she achieves it. I also cinematic history was made with Does Your Mother Know That You're Out? The towel
Let's pick up where we left off last night.
Last night never happened. I've drawn a veil over last night. Oh my God, look at the time. I've got work to do. Work? Little repair and renovation.
Come on. You don't mess with the masterpiece.
Oh, ignore him, Tanya. He's all mouth and no trousers.
Tanya can't ignore the chemistry between us.
Little boys who play with fire get their fingers burned.
All of it. Greatest scene in cinema history. I'm putting it out there right now.
This movie, it is so great. I think also, like, the thing is, that's interesting that you compare the 3 and the 7, because I thought she was probably an 8, just because she kind of has that like dominance and you know they are. I think both are very competitive numbers, but I feel like 8s just don't usually spend a lot of time comparing themselves to others. And I don't even know if Tanya does necessarily do that, but I do think it like kind of pegs her down a little bit when like Rosie reminds her who she is. And I think just like the difference I think is just like, it's like superficial. Like 8s are like, see, and now I'm actually like, wait, do I think she's an 8? Because I'm like, 8's gonna just go for it. They're deal makers. They don't care. Like 3s are kind of a kiss up. They like not all the time, but 3s might have a tendency to like achieve success by any means necessary. Where I'm like, well, 8s, I think that is tricky because I'm like, is she just herself? And then she's like, okay, these husbands, like this husband isn't working for me. I'm gonna get rid of him. Maybe
I think she is a charmer though. Because she's literally achieving those goals like through wooing and like winning over these men to marry. Like, but like it's all about those interpersonal relationships that she's leveraging, you know? But I mean, I don't think we see the contrary either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, you have no more evidence of that than I do for saying like, okay, these husbands just aren't working. I'm going to go to the next one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is like the fact of the marriage. Like the fact that like she didn't become like a businesswoman or like boss. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Like,
yeah, 8s want to have a large impact, and they want to. I'm reading again from the Enneagram Institute. I just pulled that up. Have to build and accomplish great things, possibly something that will be a testament to their greatness and doing well. They have large egos in achieving something important to them. So money is like a form of power for 8s, where 3s like want things to go their way, that they're willing to sacrifice being genuine. Where I'm kind of like, I don't know if Tanya would be. I'm like unconvincing myself. I did go in here thinking she was a 3. Now I'm like, wait, maybe she's 8 because I'm also thinking of all the people who are kissing up to her, and she's like, no, like that's literally like does your mom,
but she loves that, you know, like.
But I think like Yeah, go ahead.
I read something about, I think it was in the article about the 3 and the 7, but it was about how the 3 like views the world around them like from a pedestal. Like and I like, to me that was very, does your mother know that you're out? Like she knows she has the whole room wrapped around her finger, the whole beach really. And like, that's where she is in her power, is like at the center of attention, like as that like, yes, maybe her goal was money. Maybe like she loves luxury, but she also loves attention in a way that like,
I think attention is her happening. Like, I don't think we have like a ton of evidence that she loves attention. I think she just like has attention. So like, here's just like another note from, again, Enneagram Institute verbatim. It's just, let's discuss it. So like, if 8s are too busy achieving their purposes to worry about public opinion, which I think is like her saying like, yes, I've had the surgery. Yes, I have had multiple husbands. Here I am. 3s live and die on the opinions of others and desperately want to be in demand socially. If average 8s are combative and intimidating and take the heat, despite a certain bravado, average 3s will back down, driven to divisiveness. And I think she in that situation, when we compare those two, she's definitely the 8, where she's like, I don't care what you think about me. This is like who I am. This is what I'm doing. I think she has that drive. I just think she might actually be like an 8. We don't like we don't see a lot. It's just like one that we're like, yeah, she's what she wants is I think we usually just by the nature of our podcast and where we've been have been like 8s are striving for justice, where she's like, justice, no, I'm striving to be the best.
Yes.
Like,
no, actually.
Yeah. And like being combative and intimidating and take the heat.
That is interesting. I do agree with you about like the beach scene and about like, she's not interested. Like she knows like, she has her power with or without these men fawning over her. And so to me, actually, I think I am convinced of the 8.
And again, did not come in here willing to argue that, but I think like now that I'm saying it, I'm like, actually, if I take all the things that I think, like the situations in which someone would be an 8 or 3, I think like if someone were to shame her, she would like not back down. I don't think she would like try to smooth them into liking her. I think she'd be like, well, then you're not for me. I'm not for you. And that's fine. Like, I think that's very 8.
And the next number that I had written down under the 3 was the 8. So I'm not like opposed from the start.
Yes.
I just don't think I looked at it from that angle. So I love that.
I love us sharing each other.
Do we agree on the wing 7? I hope.
Yeah, she's not a 9. I don't think she has any 9.
So this actually, our conversation about Rosie was very interesting to me, and like your kind of journey that you went on with my Auntie Rosie. With Tanya, then in contrast, I have to know, you mentioned that like you were just so mesmerized by Tanya. Are you personally more of a Tanya or a Rosie?
Oh, I am a Tanya. Here's the deal. Tanya is who, like, when I'm trying to like be at my best, I am like thinking of that type of gal. Like when you complimented me earlier and I was like, yes. Like, that is who I'm striving to be. Probably naturally more of a Rosie, but I don't really see many Rosie qualities in me. Do you?
No, so that is interesting. I think I agree. I kind of think, I don't know why, but I feel like I resonate with Rosie more. Like, I don't know that I'm like personally more of a Rosie, but I feel like between us, like, I'm the Rosie and you're the Tanya.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think, like, honestly, both of us are striving to be those. I don't think either of us are quite there yet. But, like, that's the point. They're older. Like, we'll get there maybe eventually when we're, like, 40 or 50.
We've got plenty of time.
Yeah, we do.
What do you mean? They're, like, a day over 21.
A day over 21. Absolutely. Well, we have a little bit of time. Here's the deal about Sophie. I'm just going to go in for it. So we had Sophie as our... We could talk about her, maybe. I feel like Sophie doesn't have a personality.
No, I was watching the first movie and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we considered not typing her, because I think she is such an obvious example of a very specific number.
Oh my gosh. Everyone who is this number that Lucas is about to say, don't get mad at me. I want to hear your case and I'll see if I agree. Because I was like, is she just agreeing with everything that's going on? She's just like, I just feel like she's very Disney Channel. Mom, like, that's your dream, not mine.
Right. So here's what I think. The movie starts with her. She has a dream. She's a dreamer. She is romanticizing the idea of these men that she has never met. And she invites these 3 strangers to her wedding, having never met them and without telling her mother. Like, the drama, the secrecy, but also the like where she's like, I don't even have to think about it. I'm going to look into his eyes and I'm going to know that he is my father.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did she have to mail those in the middle of the night and then say their names as she drops them in the postcard or in the post box? And
that is when hilarious. I'm so dumb.
She doesn't tell Sky. And then she's talking to her bridesmaids about it. And they're like, how are you not going to tell him? And she's like, no, it's fine. I need my father here because I feel like a part of me is missing. Her whole point is she feels like she cannot be married until she like reconciles this missing part of herself, which is the identity of her father. And then she realizes at the end that like lacking piece of identity is not inside of anybody else. Like, she is like whole the whole time without having to know who her father is. I am
literally so embarrassed. Yeah, she's a 4.
I'm so embarrassed. I love it.
That's honestly probably why I was like, is she even real? Because I'm like, I'm probably just assuming I'm putting too much of myself into her. The thing that I will say is, and just as my only justification, is like, I feel like the plot happens, it's like all plot, not really like her. It doesn't feel like she feels very disconnected from her actions. And I think it's because like these things need to happen for this to happen. And that's probably why I said that. But you're totally right. When like I like take myself out of that, I'm like, yeah, that's totally happening. That's what she, like, that is hilarious. Yeah.
I think she's a wing 3.
I love it.
As well, just to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
round it out.
It was so funny because I felt the same way you did until I started watching the movie. And then, like, literally the first couple scenes, I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not see this coming? But
that is so funny. I feel very similarly. Like, and now that you're like saying that, I'm like, you dummy. And I was multitasking while I was watching the movie,
yes,
and I won't do that
course.
again, listeners. I feel, but like, that was amazing. That is so funny. Oh, I love it. I also was watching like a janky version off of YouTube that kept like, and everyone knows my current Netflix is in Turkish, so it adds a lot of complications. So I'll work on that for you guys. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. I love Mamma Mia. I want to watch it right now. I want to go to Greece. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm pulling up flights.google.com right now as we speak. Type.
That is a true person who likes to travel who knows it's flights.google.com. I love that.
Yeah, you got to follow all the airlines. That's how you get the best deals.
Well, I didn't know what the URL was. I just look up flights and it's the first thing on Google. Oh my gosh. Speaking of, where are we flying to next week?
We are headed over to Utah, also known as New Mexico, Albuquerque. We are going to be discussing our Stars of East High Wildcats, the High School Musical trilogy, truly like the trilogy that defined a generation. And I'm so excited. This is all obviously in honor of the premiere of High School Musical, the series season 2 that just came out last week. And so we had to throw it back to the original, pay some homage, and I cannot wait. We will talk about it next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Typecasting. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at TypecastingPod, where you can vote in our weekly polls. Leave a review and be sure to join us next week when we take on more pop culture by the numbers.